My God, we're here again for week 2 live Q&A of the power rankings. A little disclaimer here, these power rankings may or may not be a little bit worse. I was really pushed for time because somebody rescheduled a match on a Wednesday. Also, with that being in mind, that match Wednesday has no effect on this week's power rankings. So without further ado, I will be presenting week 2 power rankings, and if you guys have any questions, concerns, I am here to put those answers on the table. First, we'll start out with the standings after week number 2. Holding a secured lead in first place is Maria's Dungeon. In second, even though that they have the same score of a 2-0, they do have one loss in their series. We have Spectre Gaming. And in third will be the free agent team, who, even though they have the 1-1 score as a lot of these other teams, they do have one victory over these other teams because they took a game off of Spectre Gaming. Tied for fourth, we have Lexi's Rat Emporium, Dynasty Sapphire, and Elysium Terra. Let's just say I was a little bit surprised by some of those. And following up in a tie for 7th and officially last place for right now, we have Fantastic Four and Zerathai, along with Brandy's Banana Chompers. All right. So, in rank 1 for this week, we have Maria's Dungeon. This team, I always knew would be on the top. They have some great, strong players, especially with their mid-jungle duo between Nukes and XBO. Quite possibly the strongest mid-jungle duo in the league, and they're playing the most important roles, let's be honest. They have some little spicy picks coming out from Soul Lady. Her champion pool has definitely grown in 1 week. All we saw week 1, I believe, was Shin, and this week we got a few more champions out on top of that, like the Malphite. And overall, this team, very strong, very impressed with how they're doing. And from my best knowledge, almost all of them, if not all of them, are technically off roll. So good on them, and I expect this team to be holding on to that number 1 power spot for quite a while, if not the whole season. And this team will 100% be making playoffs, no doubt in my mind. Coming in at number 2, we have Spectre Gaming. I was a little hesitant to put this team up at number 2 after beating LRE in week 2. Or sorry, after beating... Wait. Who did they play week 2? I might be tripping. Let me check. Oh no, they played BBC. Anyways, sorry. So I'm putting these guys at number 2 because I felt like they played better than LRE, who did have the number 3 slot. Even though you would expect them to possibly go up since Elysium Terra did fall, but Spectre Gaming does have it there. They have a pretty strong set of players. Yes, I'm aware, Soul Lady, but like I said, this is Power Rankings Week 2. The game of yesterday had no effect on these. This was completed before the games were done yesterday because I'm keeping them week by week. So, this was me going into them before they played ET. So, obviously, things are going to change. But this is Week 2 stuff. They do have a strong player out of Vimstat, but he's also a little bit of a weakness for the team. He has a great champion pool when he gets his champions, but if you start targeting those champions, you can definitely see the weakness. But if they can get some time to build synergy between Vimstat and Learning, they'll become quite a team to not be trifled with. Obviously, as we saw yesterday, they did already play their ET matchup. I did predict ET would be beating them beforehand, but overall, this team still definitely earned the number 2 slot for last week, so I don't hold any grudges there. Coming in at number 3, once again, we have LRE. This team did win, they did end up losing their match this week. However, I still felt like they were pretty decent. They got some pretty nice picks for themselves, and the games weren't completely hopeless. But Maria's Dungeon just is that much better, and that's why Maria's Dungeon is number 1. I do expect this team, once they get a little bit back into the groove for this season, that they will definitely be able to compete with Maria's Dungeon. And I mean, these guys have some great players. You got UBC, you got Jordan, two of the most hyped players last season, and I have fair confidence that they'll bounce back strong this week, and they will continue to hold a positive record overall in the season. Teams should still be looking out for the Kindred and even the Ziggs with the Ziggs buffs against this team. Even though Maria's Dungeon left the Kindred and Ziggs open for Lexi's Rat Emporium, I still felt like when they got their hands on those champions, even though they were losses, they played them to great effect. And if it wasn't Maria's Dungeon, if you let this team get those picks, a completely different story. I'm very confident that this team would crush your team if you let them get that. And coming in at number 4, my second most disappointing team for this week is Elysium Terra. The only reason why that they're not below Dynasty Sapphire, even though Dynasty Sapphire was the team to beat them, was because I still felt like Elysium Terra put up a great fight despite losing 5 bans overall in the series. And honestly, if they didn't lose those bans, I don't think Dynasty Sapphire would have been able to compete as well as they did. So if Dynasty Sapphire, I'm going to kind of do these two at the same time because they're interlinked so well. If Dynasty Sapphire proves himself this week, they will be going up. Trust me on that, any Dynasty Sapphire players out there. However, you haven't quite proven to me that you can really take on the big dogs yet. And no, sorry, Ito. They're a little. I'll get to them. You'll see. And so, Lady, the 5 bans were not 5 bans in a single game. They lost 3 bans the first game, 2 bans the second game because of player rotations and name changes. Anyways, Elysium Terra, still a super strong team, obviously. If you watched yesterday's game, they quite handedly stomped Spectre Gaming in a nice 2-0. And they bounced back. They showed that they're ready to go. I put in here, I expect this team to bounce harder than an ostrich throwing a golf ball on the ground to make it bounce. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos, but let's just say they're insane. All right? So don't think that this team, just because they dropped one game or one series, is going to be like someone to be like scoff at. All right? This team is strong. They've shown they're strong, and they almost won in a match where they were down so many bans, which allowed Dynasty Sapphire to get some of their priority picks, like the Irelia. Who's Crawl Sultan? I don't know who that is. No way you say that they put a goddamn... Yeah. I don't think DS is bad, but I felt like they beat Elysium Terra on a fluke. That's why I said they will be going up if they can prove themselves this week, which, honestly, they have a pretty easy game this week, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, they don't. They're against Maria's Dungeon. Oh, I remember. I said in here, if they can take one game off Maria's Dungeon, I will most assuredly be bumping them up. All right? I have faith that Dynasty Sapphire will do it. They didn't. They beat Elysium Terra. Sure, they had a pretty decent advantage, but the fact that they still managed to take games off this team, not one game but 2 games, puts them in a pretty good showing. So I believe if this team continues their upward spiral, they will at least take one game off Maria's Dungeon. Do I think they're going to beat Maria's Dungeon? Hell no. I think that team's too good. All right? But I definitely see the potential from this team, which is why they went from 6 to 5, and they'll probably be going up. All right? Yeah, so, Lady, I know your team is OP. All right? Gosh. And coming in at number 6 is the free agent team. Look, these guys are low because I feel like they're just too much of a wild card. None of their players have played together very long together. They don't have the greatest synergy build up quite yet. They have improved, but they did lose their game against where is it? Against Spectre Gaming. They did take a game off that, and they played against FFZ, which arguably one of the weakest team, if not the full weakest team, this split. And this week they're playing against Lexi's Rat Emporium. So if they want to go up and show me that they have really got that team synergy down, they're going to have to take out one of these top teams. All right? So we will have to see with this team. I truthfully cannot rank them very well because I just don't know free agent teams that well. Like it's just too much volatility in the team, and I feel like this team can go really good one week and be really crap the next week. So we'll have to see how consistent they stay throughout the weeks of BTL. I'll probably get a more accurate reading around week 4 on them. So what logo? Oh, I haven't gotten to it yet. Sorry if they got a new logo. Sorry. And coming in at number 7 is Fantastic Four and Zerathai. Honestly, these two are, and number 8 is Brandy's Banana Chompers. In my eyes, these two teams are interchangeable. I only put Fantastic Four and Zerathai above Brandy's Banana Chompers because I know what FFC can do. I know what they're capable of, and I also know where they fell. It's very easy to see where this team fell. They literally, like, one of their biggest things that happened last week was it felt like their team, despite having pretty decent drafts, were letting their emotions control their engages. Game 1 that they had, it was rough. It sucked. I get it. But game 2, you guys had a damn good draft, and you guys threw it away with 1v1s, 1v2s, with the Camille, with the Galio. You guys weren't using your synergy at all together. I didn't see a single Camille to Galio ulti synergy out of lane. I think maybe we saw it once while they were in lane, but otherwise, nothing much going on. And also, on top of that, when you guys generated number advantages with great Maokai ultimates in game 2 and got picks, you guys continue to chase hopeless fights and just died to Xayah's feathers instead of taking key objectives throughout the game. So, if this team wants to prove themselves, this team, by the way, is my number 1 disappointment of the week. All right? ET was my number 2 disappointment. FFZ is my number 1 disappointment. I for sure thought they would take a game off of their opponent because their graphs were absolutely phenomenal, especially in game 2. However, this team cannot let emotions control them, and that's what it seems like is happening right now. So I'd like to see them stop that and really look at these mistakes, learn from them, and don't repeat them, because kills, guess what, are not everything. All right? You guys are a semi-amateur team. You know kills are not everything. Objectives win games. So focus on that and get your head out of your butts, okay? And coming in at last, like I said, Brandy's Banana Chompers. The only reason why they're below FFC is because I know what FFC is capable of. I don't know what they're capable of. I haven't really seen too much going on with here. This team had a pretty rough showing, especially in the mid lane. Their opponent, Learning, got solo kill after solo kill against the enemy team, and he went into 1v3s, 1v2s, and managed to pick up kills. So this team, start with the basics, go back to your VODs, review your VODs, figure out what you did wrong, and learn from them. Take some inspiration from your opponent's name, get to Learning, and improve that mid laner. If you can step up your mid laner's game, it will open up your jungler, which is what you need, especially in this meta. And if you can get good mid jungle control, it allows you to at least have a chance in the mid to late game. I don't expect this team to really ever have a gold lead in the early game. I don't think they're quite there mechanically. But if they can slow down the bleeding and take some decent fights around objectives, when typically speaking, team fight comps excel in those areas just because they're so tight, I think this team can take games and possibly matches off of other teams. But they have to get that mid really up to speed, because I was not impressed at all. I know Learning is a tough mid laner, probably the second or third best mid laner in the league right now, but it ain't there. All right, you guys got to improve it, and that's your only chance at this point. Otherwise, it's going to look pretty hopeless for this season. So that's what I got for y'all. All right, so obviously I glazed over some stuff. I didn't read everything full verbatim, but I'm going to leave this time open for the Twitch chat. If you guys have any questions about rank placements and stuff, I've obviously already answered the Spectre rank placement being at number 2. Again, this is focused on week 2 only, does not take in account the week 3 game that was already played. So that is why they're here. All right, so let's open up the floor for questions. So what do we got? Hit me up. We got a little bit more people this time. My My predictions for this upcoming week. Oh, like match win predictions. Like who I think is gonna win. Okay. All right. Obviously, I can't predict the game that already happened, even though I think I kind of said it in my power rankings, but I had faith that Elysium Terra was going to bounce back and beat Spectre Gaming. But that game's already happened, so I'll scratch that one from the list. I believe LRE is going to beat Free Agent Team. I think Free Agent Team does have a little bit of spice, so I'm expecting a 2-1 there. I expect FFZ to beat BBC, probably another 2-1 in favor of FFZ. I would like to see Dynasty Sapphire take a game off Maria's Dungeon, but I'm pretty confident Maria's Dungeon is going to 2-0 Dynasty Sapphire. Those are my predictions for this week. All right, what else do we got in here? Whee. I think my expectations are warranted, all right? And look, if you guys fail my great expectations, I can just drop you from number 1 to number 4 like I did with Elysium Terra. No problem solved. Problem solved. The power is all in my hands. I probably wouldn't drop Maria's Dungeon that low unless they literally got 2-0'd by Dynasty Sapphire, which I don't think is going to happen. Dynasty Sapphire, again, I think has potential. I just don't think that I think Maria's Dungeon is probably going to be the toughest opponent for everyone at all points in the season, just because Nukes and XPO are such great, strong players, and Soul Lady really knows how to play weak side, and they have a pretty decent bot lane. So I don't see this team really falling when mid jungle control is just so prevalent. What teams do I think will make playoffs? That is a little early to call, but it's the top 6 if I'm not mistaken. So I think everyone's going to make playoffs except for these two. I think that's pretty easy. Maybe FFC can surprise me with something, but I think improving Brandy's Banana Chompers mid-issue in such a short notice of time is going to be nearly impossible. Again, it's not hopeless for any team quite yet. All these teams still have hopes to get into playoffs and still can get eliminated from playoffs because we're that early in the season. But if I had to take a guess, it would have to be these two teams would not be making it, FFC and BBC. What is the sleeper team that has the most potential to surprise us? I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. The team that I think will surprise us, not because they're a sleeper team, but because they are just such an oddball team, is going to be the free agent team. I think free agent team has the most potential out of any team because they're so unknown and their synergy just hasn't been quite made yet. But if I'm going to go off of sleeper teams that I am very confident that they'll surprise us, I would probably go with Dynasty Sapphire just because they were able to 2-0 Elysium Terra, and I think that they do have a chance to take a game off Maria's Dungeon. But I think Dynasty Sapphire will be a good matchup against LRE and Spectre Gaming. So that's probably going to be my number 1 sleeper team if I don't count the free agent team. All right. Do we have any more questions before I end stream? I got a pretty late start today, so I apologize for that. But I can't stream all the time. I gotta let my voice relax. I don't know if you were there yesterday, but I was definitely struggling yesterday because I was just tired. Yeah. So lady, I do know that you guys aren't totally out of field. That's why I said technically you guys are out of field because I've talked with Nukes a few times in the MVP, and he says that your team is basically all out of field. And then I said technically not, and he's like, yeah, technically we're not because we all do play these roles, but he's talking about their main roles specifically, I think. So that's why I said that they're quote unquote auto filled. All right. Do we have anything, any comments, concerns, or any more questions before I do drop the stream? I'll give it about 1 more minute, and then we will close out for the day as we get ready for week 3, day number 2. Surprise, surprise, it's a Saturday for day number 2. I believe the games, unless something got rescheduled, are going to be LRE versus FAT and FFC versus BBC on Saturday. All right. It looks like everyone is done. Everyone got their fill. So I'm going to swing it off to a nice night and swing it off to the outro. And I can't wait to cast tomorrow's games. I am excited. I love casting for BTL. And I like getting the experience so that I can hopefully further my skills to other places as well. All right. Good night, everybody. And we will catch you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST.
Now we won't go back home today, until the very last hour. We still got a few more days to slay, it's gonna get so much louder. Now we're here to take control over your body and over your soul. We're gonna take back everything and